Elder Leslie, for sharing your story with us. Good evening, family. Good evening. I'd like to take a moment just to praise God for who God is and for knowing who I am in God. I am so grateful. And I got the glad glance because I'm clear that God took time to love a black lesbian like me. God took time to say that I can use you just the way that you are. I'm glad about it. I'm glad that God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and can be everywhere at the same time.
Amen, amen.
So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Unity Fellowship Church movement because clearly Unity saved my life. One of the things I heard Elder Leslie say is to know your word. And for so long, I didn't feel that I was worthy. I didn't believe that I was welcome at the table. And it was echoed in the church that I grew up in. And people like me were not loved by God. So I am so glad and so grateful to know today that God loves me just the way I am. Just the way that I am. I ain't got to change and be nobody other than who I am to get the love of God. So I'm really glad about that. Grateful for another holy convocation, an opportunity to come together and to worship the Lord in spirit and in truth.
Amen, amen.
I'm excited. So just for a moment, I'd like to remind us about who we are and go back to the basics. So when I was thinking about this thing, the song that came to me was, "It Ain't No Game." It's a love thing. And to be progressive is to be loving without conditions. It ain't no game. It's a love thing. And to be progressive is to love without limits. And to be progressive is to love in spite of. To be progressive is to love because of. Because of who God is, I am. And I'm glad about it. Yes. I believe that progressive moves beyond tradition. Progressive actually questions tradition.
Yes, it does.
Progressive is constant evolution. Progressive is new and creative. And when I was thinking about this thing, I was thinking, I like to believe that I am progressive. I consider myself liberated and open to change. But the more I thought about being progressive, the more I realized I have a ways to go in terms of my own need to be more progressive. And I'm okay with that. I had to go back to remembering who we are. Being progressive is action. It's movement. It's not stagnant. We can't stay in the same place if we want to consider ourselves progressive.
So true.
Doing things the same way, all the time, just the way we like it, the way that's comfortable, the way that's familiar, is not progressive.
Amen.
Progressive is to be able to be open to doing things a different way. Progressive is forward thinking. Forward thinking. That is progressive. We consider ourselves Unity Fellowship Church of Christ movement. And movement speaks to living. A living organism that constantly moves, that doesn't stay in one place, that is not stagnant. The movement speaks to change. Being progressive means that we're willing to change. It speaks to something that is living, that is growing. Progressive Christianity is characterized by the willingness, willing to question tradition. You've got to be willing to accept human diversity. Willing to accept that everybody's not going to look just like you.
That's right.
It has a strong emphasis on the social justice and care for the poor and the oppressed. That's who we are. Care for the environment and stewardship of the earth. Progressive Christians have a deep belief in the centrality of the instructions of Jesus the Christ to love one another. Again, it ain't no game. It's love. To be progressive is really about loving. That's really who we are. Loving in a different way. Loving in new ways. Not having to have prescriptions about the way that you love. So if you love me unconditionally, I can come to you exactly how I am and you accept me. To be progressive is to have your arms open to love. To be progressive means to be the light of love. UFCM is a progressive Christian movement and a social justice ministry. We often forget this, particularly here in the South. And I know it's hard to focus on social justice because we spend a lot of our time trying to survive. Just worrying about how I'm going to get through each day. So if I've got just enough for me, how can I share with you? If I'm worried about how I'm going to take care of myself, how can I care for you? But to be progressive, we think outside of the box and we think outside of ourselves. I just want to remind you that if you care for creation, the Creator will care for you. Jesus reminded us that we are supposed to love one another. We were created to care for the world and ourselves. Progressive Christianity takes church outside of the walls. Looks beyond just what we do here. Feeds the hungry, clothes, visits people in the hospital, visits people in the prisons. Encouraging kids that feel different, that get teased all the time, who are bullied, is loving in a progressive way. Children are taking their lives because they are bullied for being what is considered different. And we who say that we are progressive, and we who say that we are a loving movement, need to take time to see how we can help in dealing with this awful, awful issue that's happening all over our schools and all over our neighborhoods. Our babies are taking their lives. And we need to stand up for love in a different way. Social justice, being progressive, is taking a step beyond what you already know about God and what you already know about Jesus. And I know you say, I'm a good Christian, I'm a church person, and I love the Lord, and the Lord loves me. And I know about the Lord, and I know about Jesus. But progressiveness pushes you to open your mind just a little bit more to see God anew, to see Jesus the revolutionary, Jesus who sat with people who didn't like, who sat with people who the world didn't sit with.
That's right.
Jesus who fed people when he wasn't supposed to feed them. Jesus who did things outside of the law. When the law said that you shouldn't heal on the Sabbath, Jesus said that people are sick on the Sabbath.
Exactly.
Jesus was a revolutionary. Progressiveness sparks new revelations, new compassions, new energy and action. Progressive Progressive, progressive. What does it mean to be progressive? It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen all at one time. To be progressive is a process. Yes. We get a little here, and a little there, and a little more, and we build on it, and that's how we become progressive.
Yes. Good teaching.
How are you loving? How are you loving? We need to check the way that we love one another.
Amen.
We need to check the way that we show up, calling ourselves people who love. Everybody can quote, when I say what's unity about? The first thing people say is, God is love,
Love is
and
for
love is for everyone. But what kind of love are we talking about? When we say everyone, do we really mean everyone? Is everyone really welcome at the table? Back to the basis of who we are takes us directly back to love. In Corinthians, it gives us a prescription for love. Let's just look at it for a second. 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter, tells us, love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut. Love doesn't have a swell head. Doesn't force itself on others. Isn't always me first. Love doesn't fly off the handle. Doesn't keep score of the sins of others. Doesn't revel when others grovel. Takes pleasure in the flowering of truth. Puts up with anything. Trusts God always. And always looks for the best. Never looks back, but keeps going to the end. To be progressive is to love. To be progressive is to love. Progressive is innovative. And loving differently is progressive. That's who we are. We are people of love. But I think we've gotten away from the basic. We've gotten away from who we are. We've gotten away from how we are supposed to love. We always have conditions. I need you to do it this way, because this is the way that feels good to me. I need you to do it this way, because this is the way that I understand. And this is the way that we've always done it.
Oops.
It's worked for so many years. So why do we need to do something different now? What's that old expression say? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of the old stuff is broken. Progressive allows us to look through a different lens and to see that which is old, to see that which is familiar in a new way. It ain't no game, y'all. It's a love thing. We have lives that are at stake. When you think about your story and you think about why you came to Unity and what Unity has done for you, many people say Unity changed my life.
Yes.
Unity saved my life. I felt accepted. I felt loved. I felt like I didn't have to come in a certain way. Are we still there? Do we still have that same feeling? Do we still have, as Elder Taylor said, sanctuary? I really think we need to go back to the basics. Reminder of who we are. To be progressive allows us to look back for a moment, to remember the basics, and to move forward. Somebody is waiting for you to show up in love. Somebody is waiting for you to come as your authentic self and show up in love. It's time for us to check the way that we are loving. Do we hold the what we believe statement in ways that we can embrace it? Do you really believe that God is love and love is for everyone? Do you really believe that God is everywhere present? Do you believe that God has no gender? Do you understand that God is spirit?
Yes, the Spirit has no gender.
And God shows up as spirit,
Yes.
not male. Do you really think it's all right to have female bishops?
Yes.
Or do you feel that the bishop has to be in the person of a man in order for you to accept? How are we loving? A lot of us have experienced love in so many different ways.
Yes.
And it hasn't always been a positive experience.
Tell it.
So I love you the way that I learned how to love. I treat you the way that I was treated. And since I wasn't accepted completely, I don't really know how to accept you. But I'm still talking about love, but I'm still singing about love. I'm still shouting when the love songs are sang. I still get my dance on. But I'm not quite clear about that love thing.
Yes.
I ain't got it quite right. I don't quite understand it. Check the way that you are loving. And I want you to know I think we mean well. We mean well. This is what we signed up for.
Tell it.
We read the statement of belief.
Tell it.
We can espouse it. But have we really embraced it
Amen.
in ways that is reflected in the way that we are loving? As we talk about being progressive, I think it is time for us to go back to the basic premise of who we are as a movement.
Amen.
Who are we? What do we stand for? And what do we believe? I don't think we can go forward until we stop and re-examine. I don't think we can progress until we acknowledge that we're still a little fuzzy about that love thing. We don't have it quite right. It ain't no game.
No.
It's a love thing.
Yes.
Somebody needs you to get it right. You need you to get it right. You need you to re-examine this love thing.
Say it.
Gotta stop and step back before we can move forward. A formula for moving towards a more progressive way of being. First of all, recognize that there's a need for you to move from your present state. A lot of times we think we okay. I know that's what you're saying, and I know what they're preaching about, and I know that's what the pastor said, but I'm good. I'm good right here where I am. It's been working for me for a long time, and I'm quite good. The first step is to recognize that you need to move. You need to move. You need to move. Secondly, check your surroundings. Both outside and inside. take an inventory. Are you putting yourself in places where liberation theology is taught or talked about? Basically, are you eating the right stuff?
Right stuff.
How's your diet? Are you still eating that junk that you've been eating for so long? The stuff that's oppressive? It don't even taste right no more. So that's the other thing. When you come on this side of liberation, even when you try to go back to some of the crap, it don't even taste good anymore. But the strange thing about us, we keep eating the stuff anyway. I know it don't taste good. I know it don't feel good. I know they talking bad about me. But this is what I'm used to. Check your surroundings. It's time to let go of the judgments and the opinions. I know you've always thought what you're thinking.
Yes.
I know it's logical. And I have the unfortunate position of being a logical person. I gotta find logic somewhere. I'll be in the most illogical situation. No, it's all jacked up. No, it don't make no sense. And I'm looking for some logic. Because I need logic. To stay in a traditional, familiar, uncomfortable place and say that you're progressive is illogical. To expect your life to grow in a progressive way and you're still staying and eating the same crap, doing the same things that are familiar and uncomfortable is illogical. It does not make sense. You have to check your surroundings. What are you eating? Who your people is?
Yes.
Who your close folks?
Who you surround yourself with.
So you may come to unity. But the people you really listen to. Clearly, if it's a mega church, they must be talking right. All of those people who go to that church all the time, they got thousands up in there. Clearly, their message is right. So I go to Unity and get my shower on, but I still listen to people on TV. I still go to other churches because I like the stuff that they're doing.
Oops.
It don't make sense. It's not uplifting. It's not liberating. But it's what I'm used to.
Oops. Stepping on toes.
Check your surroundings.
Stepping on toes.
Check your surroundings.
Stepping on toes.
Do you really want to be progressive and move forward? In order to move forward, you've got to let go. You have to let go of the old, the traditional, the stuff that's gotten stale, the stuff that ain't making no sense, the crap that doesn't taste good. You have to let go in order to be progressive.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying you got to throw everything out.
All right.
Make it clear. Make it clear.
we still use the Bible. We believe that some of it's inspirational.
Yes.
We believe that there's some good teachings in it. But we don't believe that this is the only word of God. That is progressive.
Yes. Yes.
God's revelation knowledge did not start or stop. So we say we want to be progressive, but I'm stuck with what the Bible says. I'm stuck with what I read this morning. And what I want to share is you're stuck with what you think the Bible says.
Come on, Bishop.
We haven't done an effective exegesis. We're taking it out of context. But this is what I've been taught. And this is what they told me. And this is what that preacher who got all the members in their church that must be doing something right said.
Come on.
Not the inerrant word of God. To be progressive, you got to get beyond the book. To talk to us at convocation out of the book of Leslie is progressive. That is progressive. When you're clear that your story is as valuable and as inspirational and as effective as this book, that is progressive. So I'm not saying throw it out. I don't want anybody walking away saying Bishop Holland said to get rid of the Bible. I don't say that.
Make it plain. Make it plain.
I'm suggesting that you look at it with new eyes. With a different lens.
Yes.
We've been quoting this thing all year. And you say you love it. But can you really think about what it means? You got to do some things. Progressive causes you to do something. You got to move beyond where you are.
Amen.
First, recognize that there's a problem. That there's a need. Secondly, check your surroundings. Rethink who your people is. Rethink your sources. Check your spiritual diet. And let go of your judgments. We all have judgments. And we all have opinions. And we all think we right about something. But in order to be progressive, we got to let go of some of that stuff. They ain't supposed to do that in church. How can she come to church dressed like that? Remember, somebody looked at you funny. Somebody still thinks you're strange. And I know we have a long way to go. But if we want to be progressive, we got to let go of some stuff.
Yes.
We do church, and we think we know how to do church. And I'm an old church girl.
Okay.
So I love a good show with the best of them. I get it in. Sometimes we gotta stop shouting.
Thank you.
We gotta listen. And we gotta pay attention. The person next to you is in pain.
Yes.
She's having a hard time.
Yes.
He's having a hard time.
Yes.
And you're shouting, and you're singing, and you're not tapped into spirit.
Yes.
Come on. You're not praying to be open to the needs of your people. Yes, we want to feed the hungry. Yes, we want to provide clothes for people. Yes, we want to fight for affordable housing. But sometimes we got to stop and check our own house. I'm running to feed somebody, but I can't feel my sister sitting right next to me.
Go right there.
Back to the basics. Checking the way that we love. We say that God is love. And we say that we are love. We are the essence of love. But how are we loving? How are we showing up in love? Is it filled with judgment? Or is it unconditional?
Ooh.
Are there limits on the way that we love? Or are we loving without limits?
Yes.
Are we saying everybody's welcome to the house of the Lord? And we telling people, we used to say, come as you are. In unity, you don't have to worry about how you dress. You don't have to worry about how you look. You don't have to worry about how you smell. You don't have to worry about if you had gotten high that day. We used to say that. We used to believe that. Are we now worried about people cleaning themselves up before they come into sanctuary? Maybe I needed to get high in order to have the courage to come to church. So to be progressive, we got to take a step back.
Yes.
Go back to the basic and look at the way that we're loving in order to move forward. It ain't no game.
No. It's a love thing.
We're dealing with lives.
Yes.
It's a love thing. When I came to Unity, I was taught how to love myself. Because I didn't know how to love me. I grew up in a large family. There were 7 of us. And I'm the second of 7. And I believe that I was born to take care of people.
Okay.
I believed that that's why my mother had me.
Okay.
Yes.
So that I could take care of people. I hated to hear her yell. I hated to hear her scream. I hated to get beatings. And so I always tried to be the good girl. When she said she needed something, I was always the one to show up. Give me a diaper. Give me this, give me that. I would run to meet the needs.
Yes.
Got married, had children, came out as a lesbian, was growing up in church, was saying I can't go to church because I'm a lesbian, and there comes Unity. Reminding me that God loves me just the way that I am. But I still couldn't love myself. I still heard the tapes of I was no good. I still heard the tapes of I'm an abomination. Even as I found life and unity, the tapes were still running in my head. I used to think, what if they're wrong? What if they're not telling the truth? I'm really going to bust hell wide open the way they say it. But I kept coming back and I kept allowing God to use me. And then the scales began to fall up. I started to feel that maybe I am worthy. Maybe I am okay. Maybe I am loved. Unity did that. Unity did that. That'll never get old. But can I provide that for somebody else? Can I tell somebody else that God loves them just the way that they are? Am I still doing that? Or I'm feeling like people got to come a certain way? It's time for us to go back to the basics. Do you really want to be progressive? Do you really want to move forward?
Yes.
If so, you've got to love without limits.
Yes.
You've got to love unconditionally.
Yes.
You've got to be accepted. Know who you are and whose you are.
Yes.
Back to the basics. To be progressive, you're reminded to get to see God anew. To get to see Jesus anew. That's where we want to go. I know I like to go a step further. I like to go just a little bit higher. I like to have a reason to dance. I like to be able to look around and say that I have gained progression. I've progressed in another level. I've gone up another step. I used to think this way, but now I think a new way. Now I got something to shout about. Now I got something to dance about.
Right.
That's what I would like. What about you? What about you? If you don't remember anything else I said, remember that this thing is really about love.
Yes.
It ain't no game.
It's a love thing.
It's a love thing.
Yes.
Progressiveness pushes us to love in new ways. And unity, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Unity is about love. And we're going to be checking our love. Checking the way that we love. Checking the way that we treat each other. This week, spend time thinking about